Hi there. So February's over, which means I get to talk about the books I read. In January, we talked about I read 10 books. And then if you watched my video, you know that that meant my house was upside down, essentially, because I ignored everything and read 10 books. So this month, I only read eight, but it's still kind of a lot. Um, so eight books this month. I was not trying to beat my record or anything. I was just reading. So 18 total for the year is not bad, but trying to slow down and just enjoy the books and not worry so much about, the amount. But I also like to compete with myself, so we'll see what March brings. I'm not sure I can do more than 10. That was a lot. But the first book of the month I read is Beholding and Becoming. It is a devotional book. I started it right after Christmas and finished it the first week of the month. It is a beautiful book. I'm not going to try to butcher the author's name, but she is also an artist. So every page, on top of scripture and devotionals, has art, and it is just stunning and very encouraging book. If you're looking for a devotional to read in the mornings, I would choose this one. Um, the second book I read is called A Box Full of Darkness by Simone St. James. Simone St. James is who got me into reading a few years ago. The first book by her I read was called Sundown Motel. Excellent book, and I became obsessed, and I have read all her books. I have to read all her books. She's amazing. So, if you don't know, she typically writes murder mystery, but there's always a ghost element involved, something supernatural. This one is three siblings that go back home because the ghost of their deceased brother um, beckons them to come home. The older sister can see ghosts. She's the only one. But they go home. Um, they never found, they were young when their little brother died, and they never found his body. So they're trying to figure out what happened. Nobody ever figured it out. Nobody knows what happened. So they go home basically to figure out what has happened to their little brother. And it's been like, I think it was 20 or 30 years, I can't remember, since the incident. And lots of things happen, scary, spooky things, and they kind of solve it. I felt a little dissatisfied in the end. Um, I really enjoyed the story and the build up that they had going into the end, but then I didn't feel like all my questions were answered at the end, and it was a little bit disappointing. So I don't know what happened there. Definitely not one of my favorites by her. Again, I loved the story and all the build up, but the last couple chapters were kind of a letdown. Like there was no, I feel personally, there was no big reveal moment. So that's just me. If you want to read a Simone St. James book, I would start with Sundown Motel. And my top favorite is The Haunting of Maddie Clare. That one was a really good one. Um, the third book I read was on my Kindle. I read a lot on my Kindle this month. So the third book I read is Dear Debbie by Frida McFadden, another favorite author of mine. And I was really nervous reading Dear Debbie because it had gotten so much hype and so many people that either loved it or hated it that I was nervous. I'm like, am I going to go into this book expecting this greatness and not enjoy it? I enjoyed it. Definitely a total Frida book. There's always a twist, and sometimes you see it coming, sometimes you don't. I did not see it coming, to be honest. But Debbie is she's mostly a stay-at-home mom. She has two teenage daughters, and she writes an advice column part-time for a small newspaper. And most of her advice are to women who are complaining about something relating to their husbands. So in her life, things start to go wrong, and she feels like certain people are wronging her, and so she starts seeking revenge. She's a brilliant person, so she's not just like a stay-at-home mom. Like she is actually brilliant, very good with computers and all that, and so she's able to do things and hide herself because she can manipulate, video footage and all that. But she kind of goes off the deep end in her revenge of people, and you're reading it and you're like, she's unhinged, but it is so good. Like she is so good at it. And honestly, even though she's like doing a lot of bad things, you're rooting for her. Like you find yourself rooting for her because how dare those people. So it was really good. I do recommend it. Um, the next book I read, I have a list right here. It's taped to my dresser so that I can keep up with what I read. Because I forget names. I can tell you every story that I've read from beginning to end, and then I never remember the name of the books. So it's written down so I can remember it for you guys. That's why I keep looking over here. The next book I read was Rock, Paper, Scissors. It was another book that I kept seeing pop up on my Instagram feed. And I was like, well, I really want to read this book. I got to give it a try. And I know a lot of people enjoyed it. I kind of got bored with it. I did finish it. I got bored because most of the book is just the interaction between a husband and wife. And it gets boring for me. There is a twist in the end, which was actually really good. I didn't see it coming at all. And then, like, the reveal is great. But all the stuff before it, it was kind of like, oh my goodness, how much longer do we have to wait? Because I kind of got tired of the husband and wife. They were kind of annoying. The next one was A Numbers Killer. The Numbers Killer is written by Jennifer Ruff. She is a new to me author, and Ruff, Ruff. I'm guessing that is not her real name. And I also guess that she loves dogs because her main character in the Numbers Killer is an FBI agent who rescues dogs. She has 8, and she is obsessed with her dogs, which is great because I'm obsessed with my dog. So I really like the main character. Her name is Victoria Heslin. She's an FBI agent, and there is a series of 9 books. So I am on number 2 right now, currently. And the Numbers Killer was really good. She is looking for a serial killer that kills. They go on the killing spree in like a 2-day period, 2 or 3 day period, and number each of their victims. So it was really good, and I kind of saw the twist coming from a mile away, but that's okay. I still enjoyed the book. I would recommend it if you like your crime, murder mystery, and you like a tough FBI agent person, lady. Um, okay, and then I moved on to Killer Instinct, which is from the Natural series. This is book number 2, and I really enjoyed this one. This one, if you don't know, if you're not familiar with the series is 5 teenagers. They're all 17, are recruited by the FBI because they have special abilities. They are naturals at what they do. So our main girl, Cassie, she is a profiler. It just comes to her. Dean is also a profiler, and Dean is who we follow more on this book. If you read The Naturals, you know Dean's not on that much. But in this one, he is, and we actually meet his father. And his father's in jail. He was a serial killer. And they kind of enlist his help in figuring out who is copying his murders, which he doesn't help, but whatever. Um, so we get to learn a little bit more about Dean. And then there's other kids in the story as well. If you read The Naturals, you know that Cassie um, they've never figured out who her mother's murderer was. And so that was not in this book at all. So I'm assuming it'll either be book 3 or 4 that we finally figure out what happened to Cassie's mother. Um, I might read, what's the third one called? All In. It's on my bookshelf. So I might read that one next because I am curious. I am currently reading Jennifer Ruff's the second book of the series, Victoria Heslin series. It's called Pretty Girls something. I can't remember titles. All right. So Killer Instinct And then book number 7 is called The Gift by Frida McFadden. It's a Christmas story, and it follows a newlywed couple. It mainly follows the wife. She's a young wife, and she's working extra hard because her husband's in law school, and so he can't work. So she's working to provide for them. She works as a teacher and then part time as a waitress in some diner. And she gets a proposition from an old lady sitting there to help her get a gift for her husband. It is Christmas Eve, and still hasn't gotten him a gift. And she wants to do something special for him because it's their first Christmas as a married couple. And so she ends up being able to get something special for him at a cost. And then she gets home, gives him the gift, and he's kind of like, whatever, what is this? And his gift to her is like nothing special. And they have a fight, and then stuff happens, and that's all I'm going to say. It is your typical Frida book. There is a twist. It was an interesting twist. It is a short read. I do recommend it, especially if you love Frida. It was good. And then my last book is called Later. It is by Stephen King. It is my first Stephen King book. Um, my husband has really gotten into Stephen King, and so I kind of wanted to get into it too because we kind of tend to like similar books, especially spooky books. So he had read it and he said I might enjoy it, so I read it. I think it's definitely one of the shorter Stephen King books because if you've seen his books, they're huge. This one was under 300 pages. It is about a little boy that sees ghosts, and he lives with a single mom. Very like Sixth Sense esque. He lives with a single mom and doesn't know who his dad is. She never talks about it. And so we learn through him, he is a narrator, it's first person, and it's very like, it's almost like he's having a conversation with you, which is kind of makes it easy to read. And so we follow this little boy. We start when he's 6 years old, follow him through his teens, and then there's a little bit of him talking as an adult, but it kind of mix and matches the whole thing. And we get to learn um, what he does when he sees the ghosts and kind of like how he's learning to process all that. So it was really interesting. I do recommend it. Um, I don't think it will be my favorite Stephen King book. I will keep trying to read his books. I have a long list and a big pile of books to read, so I don't know when I'll get any more Stephen King, but I do want to. I like I've watched it. We watched Welcome to Derry. I've watched Misery. So I've watched a lot of his books turned to movies, but I've never read him until now. So I do like his writing style. I think he's a great author. I love his ideas. I don't know how he comes up with all of this, especially after all these years, but I do enjoy it. And what I like about him too is, again, not having read all his, I've only read one book, but watching his shows, how he ties all of his worlds together. So I'm excited to read more. And that's it. February was 8 books. January was 10. I don't know what March will bring. I am trying to, I wouldn't necessarily say I'm trying to read less, but I am trying to focus on other things too. Um, but we'll see. We'll see how many I read. I'm not obsessing with it this month, I should say. Yet. We'll see. um, but yeah, that's all I got. Those are my books this month. I enjoyed it. It was a good month. And I hope you guys are all reading. Stop doom scrolling, put the phone down, pick up a book and go read. Find your favorite genre and read. Go crazy. I hope everyone has a great day. Pick up a book.